What's up, everybody? I'm Jared. I'm a composer, I'm a producer, and I'm going to tell you today about the first deal I ever did in the music business. I was about 14 years old when I did my first ever music business deal. I was a freshman in high school, growing up in New York City, and I was starting to play guitar and sing because I thought you had to sing if you played guitar. And I wasn't really focused on the fact that I didn't sing very well. I didn't really notice that part. And I would see a lot of musicians at that time would play music in the streets, busking. I didn't really know the word busking until later on, but to me they were just playing music in the street. And I thought that seemed awesome. I was like, go out and have an opportunity to play and practice and probably make some money. And it wasn't like I could just book gigs for myself and my little 14-year-old friends at 14 years old. Most of the street musicians would use these battery-powered amps, these rechargeable amps called mouse amps. And I didn't have one of those, so one day I figured I'd rig my boombox with some adapters from Radio Shack so that I could plug my guitar into the auxiliary inputs on the back. And I go down to the corner and I enlist a buddy of mine, reluctantly, and we go out and we start playing music in the street. And it sounded terrible, of course, and the little boombox could barely handle the power I was feeding through it with my guitar and whatever, and trying to sing over it at the same time. And so we packed up, we made a few bucks in change, and I headed home. And when my dad got home from work that night, I was like, Dad, I need a battery powered amp. I want to go play music in the street. And my dad didn't just buy me stuff. I didn't really have it like that. I mean, my dad was doing fine at the time, which wasn't always the case. We were living in a nice building that we had just moved into on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, having previously lived on a kind of crummy, crack-infested block, which, to be fair, could have been really any block at that time. But I digress. My dad was like, let me see what you're doing. What's your plan? Let me see what it is that you're doing. Let's go out there. And so I went back out to the street corner and I set up my stuff, and my dad, posing as a regular passerby, just kind of hung out and listened, which was mortifying. I was sure that everybody knew it was my dad watching me, and maybe they did. And I played a little bit, and I did all right, and I got some good New York feedback, like, hey, pretty good, kid. And packed it up after 20 minutes, half an hour, because it was really just to show my dad. And headed back to the apartment, and my dad said to me, all right, I'll make you a deal. I'll buy you whatever equipment you need, battery powered amp, mic, whatever, and you give me 15% of whatever you make. So I was like, so you're telling me you're going to give me the money and I just give you 15% of whatever I make till I pay you back? And he goes, no. You and I are partners. I'm going to invest in your business, and you'll give me 15% of everything that you make going forward. And I was like, well, that's not fair. He could make more than whatever it costs to buy the battery powered amp and mic and whatever. And he was like, that's the point. I'm investing in your business. I'm assuming the risk to invest in your business. I didn't see it as a business at the time, but that's what it was, right? So I was like, all right, let's do it. So we headed down to the music stores on 48th Street, and at that time in New York City, all the music stores were on 48th Street. And we met my buddy Bobby Duncan, who was a salesperson there at the time, and Bobby went on to become the guitar player in the seminal punk band Death. That is a story for another video. And Bobby is a very important person in my life, in my musical life, and a good friend. But anyway, he sold us a pig nose amp, which was a different kind of battery-powered amp that had a single input, a little pedal-sized mixer called a DOD resistance mixer that allowed me to put 4 inputs into the one amp, so I could plug in a guitar and a mic and maybe another guitar, inexpensive mic, and a cheap fold-up mic stand, and it all fit in my backpack, and I was good to go. And whenever I could enlist my fledgling musician buddies to come out there and play with me, because I didn't like doing it alone, it was like it was intimidating. It wasn't just intimidating because it was New York City and I was standing on the street, which was intimidating, but it was also just embarrassing. I felt like I I needed my guys there. And any of you who play music live, you might know that. It's not the same to get out there. Some of you can do it, some of you can't. Just get out there with a guitar and a mic is a very different thing than having a band. So whenever I could enlist one of my buddies out there, I'd get out there and we'd play. And, sometimes we'd go and find a prime location somewhere where you could really make some money. And sometimes we'd just post up on the closest street we could on the corner. We would jam. Sometimes we'd make a couple bucks. And every time I got back to the apartment, my dad would be like, count it out. Where's my 15%? And friends of my dad would comment to him, like, how can you let your son beg on the street? I recall one of my dad's friends referring to what I was doing as panhandling, which my old man did not appreciate. But he basically thought those people were ignorant. He always defended what I was doing. My son's out there performing. He's working. He loved it. In fact, he thought I didn't do enough of it or stay out there for long enough. But he didn't push. He did remind me to give him his 15%, though. One day school was out for some reason. It must have been a holiday or something, and it was a beautiful time of year. I don't remember if it was close to summer or if it was in September. And we decided to head down to the 42nd Street Library, where you'd be facing the steps. If you set yourself up on the sidewalk, you could face the steps, and it was like you were playing to an amphitheater. And all the people who worked in the neighborhood would sit there and have lunch, and so you had a captive audience. And you had to get there early because other street performers wanted to claim that area as well. As we were setting up, a cop came over. And sometimes, cops were encouraging, and sometimes they were chasing you off and telling you couldn't be there. So I see this cop, and he goes, you guys gonna play some music? And I said, yeah. Are you gonna give me a ticket if we do? And he goes, give you a ticket? I'm gonna give you a quarter. And I was like, great. So we set up, and about 3 songs into it, another cop came by and was like, you guys can't be here. You gotta pack it in. It was such a prime location that somehow, miraculously, we made about $60 in 3 songs, which usually it would take us hours to make money like that. Sometimes we just made pizza money. And there were 3 of us that day. It was my buddy who was playing a Casio keyboard, so he had the batteries for it, and we could take a little line out of that and put it in my little amp. And then we had another buddy with a snare drum and a hi-hat. We were bummed that we had to leave, but that was a win. That was $17 each, and $9 for my dad, because he was taking his commission off the top.